people. Why they get offended? So throw a pair. Just take it and move on. Do 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 da do da dee do do dee. Yo, Fluffs, what's up? It's good to see you guys. Thank you all for coming. I'm glad you could make it. Vicky, good to see you. Do you have PJ Cruikshank?
Oh, good. That's still fine. Dude, it still looks good.
Hey, man. Michael Corn, what's up, Peter Debian? How you guys doing? And we are live, I think. Yo, Fluffs, what's up? It's good to see you all. Tonight's going to be a very triggersome stream for some people. We've already been having some triggered numpties like Sean Hawkins coming in.
You know, Flatjoy, both you and Dave are just...
Get out of my pocket!
You are too much of a coward.
And Craig, if you beat the fallacy king.
You stupid woman.
That's gonna be an interesting one tonight. Yo, Fluffs, what's up? It's good to see you all. Thank you all for coming. Glad you could make it.
That was brilliant. I'm
It's
still
good
laughing.
to see you all here. We have
still
PJ
laughing at
Cruikshank, Michael Kahn, and Jeff Conkle in the house. Oh, and Chris just chopped in. How's it, YouAreMopped? Good to see you, man.
Hey, what's going on, guys?
Good
Good to
to
see you.
you.
You guys all hear me okay?
And Ryan as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah, doing
Absolutely.
well.
Yeah, Ryan.
Yourself.
Right, I see.
Cool.
Yeah.
So if anybody doesn't know, tonight is all about the evolution. And Chris asked specifically to talk about this tonight. And it's not a debate or anything. It's just a chat about it. My mic. But it's good to see you, man. I take it you say evolution's fake.
Sorry, say that again?
I
You
take
think
it you say evolution doesn't exist.
Oh, yeah? No, I'm not. Look, I am by no means, I'm not an evolutionary biologist. I have studied evolution, right? So I'm sure there are people out there that are more familiar with evolution than I am, but I assume none of you are evolutionary biologists either. So all I'm hoping for is that, we kind of compare notes, right? So see what you guys can teach me. Maybe I can teach you something. And at the end of this, we'll all walk away knowing more than we know now.
Awesome. Yeah.
That
no,
too.
good to have you in, and you're always welcome, guys. If you haven't already, please subscribe to Chris's channel. I did leave his link in my description, but I see it doesn't work, so I'll have to update it after the stream. But I do see Vicky is putting it in for you guys. So please hit the like, share the show, and subscribe to Chris. It's good to see your channel growing so good. I think
thank
heard about it.
Oh, yeah, and let me just also say, I'm not a diehard evolution person or intelligent design. I'm not married to any idea. I just want to know what's true, and then that's where I'm at, right? I don't want to believe in something that's not true. So, yeah, I don't have any. I don't know.
No,
I don't have any stake in the game, so I'm trying to keep an open mind. I do believe in evolution, but I'm not going to deny evidence against it. So,
okay, would you mind sharing to us what's the points that make you lean more towards evolution being true?
well, it's the best explanation by a lot that I've heard that explains what we see in the fossil record. It explains what we see are genetic similarities with other primates and other species, literally every living organism. I understand inheritance, natural selection, adaptation, and we observe natural selection. So if you just take that one step further, that is the main driving force behind evolution. Take that one step further, the weakest of every generation die off before they can reproduce. The strong survive, and the next generation you have a stronger pool. It's a different pool of genes, and so generation after generation you get progressive change over time. that are better adapted to surviving and more likely to reproduce. That's all.
Can I speak?
Yeah.
Everybody.
How's it going, Mark? You all right? Chris, sorry.
Sorry.
You said evidence in fossil record. As far as I'm aware, there's no evidence in fossil record to show one kind becoming another kind.
Right. Well,
Also, with
and
the
why is
fossil,
that?
I think with the fossil as well, like all you can tell with the fossil is that it died. That's it. It's not alive anymore. I think that's all you can tell with the fossil.
yeah, sure, it's true to some extent. So, right. So there's layers to the Earth, right? So over time, if an animal dies, let's say in water, and it sinks to the bottom of the lake or the ocean or whatever, and it starts to get covered up in sediment, right? And layer over layer, year after year. And then what we get is this layer of Earth, right? And so even people before Darwin, so I'm talking like early 1800s, they believed the Earth was extremely old. They didn't believe in evolution; it wasn't even proposed yet. But they knew so they dug down, and this happened in like early 1800s. Those people were able to find the layers in the Earth, and they found that there was different fossils of species that don't exist in their time, right? In our
But do you know that like the fossil layer, it's just one layer? Like there's not layers with fossils deeper down than other fossils. You know that, right? Don't you? You know that fossil records are all on one layer.
Sure, but it's not one layer because there's a layer. There's a limit to how far down they'll find humans, right? So, humans will only go so deep, and then they can go further and deeper and deeper, and they find animals that are clearly
That's
not around.
that's
But you
not-
have to go. You don't find them on the top. You have to go quite deep.
But
and-
that's not correct. Like you don't keep digging down and keep finding more and more fossils. That's not correct. Like,
well, not forever, but like I said,
I mean, in like it's all at one layer. Like you don't find some fossils and then dig down another hundred. Well, another, I don't know, a few 100 feet, and then find some more, and then dig down another few 100 feet and find some more. That's not case.
that's not.
Can I?
No.
Before we go on, can I just quickly read the super chat? Say thank you, Roger Little, for your $2 super chat. Says, let's start with any evidence thereof. I 100% agree. And yes, we're definitely going to be looking at some evidence tonight. Really appreciate the super chat. Appreciate everybody here. Please hit the like, share the show. Awesome.
Thank
But with the fossil story, though, do you know that there are no really complete fossils ever found? They just made up their own fossil records, you could say, even with Lucy. Even the fragments of the skull is only 15%. What they did for Lucy was they found a baboon bone that was close by, and how they figured Lucy had kind of human ape-like feet. They took footsteps 1,500 kilometers away that resembled footsteps. So they said, well, Lucy had to originate from that. That's what I say. So everything they're doing is just based on belief. They don't have actually evidence for anything they're basing on the fossil records because there is no
What do
records
you mean
for.
they don't have evidence? I'm sorry. What do you mean they don't have evidence?
They created Lucy off of having a belief that it has to be a link in a chain.
Oh, okay. I mean, I'm not going to speak to
Noodles.
things I'm not super familiar with, but I do
look-
know that there's tons of fossils that are near 100%. I mean, thousands, millions of them. So, even including dinosaurs, yeah, maybe they're missing a rib or a bone here or there. But I mean, if you have 95% of a car, it's a car and you know what car it is.
But you would understand that's not evolution, though. It could just be extinct.
But the fossils that they have found, like you said, there is complete fossils. Like you can find fossil chimpanzees, fossil baboons. I don't know. You can find loads of full fossils of mammals and all sorts of stuff, but they're all just one kind. You know, there's never no fossils to show any evidence that one kind has become another.
Yeah.
Well,
And-
fossils are just.
And you should find that.
I didn't mean to cut you off. I'm sorry. I thought
It's
you were
like,
done.
no, it's all right. It's all right.
Fossils are just one component. Like fossils alone is not enough evidence for evolution, right? It's just a piece of the puzzle. Right? It's when you combine.
Well, let me ask you this then: why are these transitional fossils so elusive? Why have they never been found?
Well, there's definitely. I don't know why you say there's no
There ain't,
transitional.
like,
There definitely are. I mean, how many do you want? Like
There isn't there. That's fact. There is none.
No, of course there are. I mean, there's no. So there's
Right.
definitely transitional fossils, but then there's always.
Show me one then. Show me a transitional fossil.
No, I can't. I'm not gonna. This is not a debate. I'm not gonna show you.
I know,
transitional
like,
fossils.
but you want to come in and you want me to believe it. I'm telling you, there's no transitional fossils. I
Right,
can show you where people talk about that there's no transitional fossils, scientists, but I'm asking, and you say no, so then you show me one.
Right, but I
If
mean,
you're
I've
gonna
been
say
to the
no
I've
to
been
what
to the
I
museum in
present,
Manhattan here, and there's there's tons of them.
yeah, but if you're gonna say no to what I present to you as fact,
I'm not going to say no. No, I'm not going to say no. But I've seen them at the Natural History Museum. So
Yeah, but
Well,
that's
I've
my
been to
whole point. That
Naturalist
was my
Museum,
point.
I've
With,
not seen.
that was my point with Lucy as well. Lucy was supposed to be seen as this link, and
And
they
it's just a
don't even
chimpanzee.
have. Yeah, they made up Lucy as a whole based on different beliefs on what they saw in the surroundings, even 1,500 kilometers away. So they don't actually have these fossils that you claim. They're just claiming it's the
No,
transitional fossils.
but even if I grant you
The
that,
issue that
even if I
the
grant
issue
you
that
that,
comes with
doesn't-
this,
Go ahead.
but also you would understand mutations is also a thing. Things have mutations, and even us with our what you eat, if you have a certain diet, you can have mutations. So
Yeah.
when it comes to transitions, you can always just say it's mutations, and that means the code was already there. So it's not evolution, though; it's just adaptation.
Well, it's not just that's a small part of it, but I mean, really. So we just. I mean, you can't. I don't know. Does anyone deny that natural selection, like this, the survival of the fittest, the weak of a litter of animals,
yeah.
say it has 12 in a litter, the weak ones are not going to survive. Does anyone
Have you heard of the descent from Darwinism?
descend from no?
Right. Can I present screen, Fazai?
Yeah.
Go for
Go ahead.
Stopping that private chat keeps popping up.
Yeah, Ryan, dude.
Right.
Oh, I didn't know it was popping up there. I'm sorry.
Can you see my
pop
screen?
that message in. Yeah.
Can you see my screen?
I can.
Right, so this is called the scientific descent from Darwinism. We are skeptical of claims for the ability of random mutation and natural selection to account for the complexity of life. Careful examination of the evidence for Darwinism theory should be encouraged. Now, there's over 1,000 PhDs that work for any university you could possibly think of. And there's 1,000 people signed this. These are all people that are skeptical about evolution.
Well, I haven't read this, but judging from just the title, and again, I said I'm not familiar with it, but it doesn't. It just says it should be carefully considered.
Yeah, well,
That I mean,
I know, yeah, I know,
careful
that's
examination.
what
I
it
would
says,
agree.
but
Well, we can break this down. We can actually
I
break
would
this
agree.
down from the roots if you want to. The reason I would say there's no evidence for evolution is it needs to be able to show that something can create a new genome where there wasn't. It needs new information that wasn't present already, and there's no proof at all that you have anything that's able to just create something new that didn't already have the information present in the DNA.
What? So DNA is just a building block. It's just made of building blocks, right?
Yes, aminos and proteins and everything. Yeah.
Right. So the building blocks are there,
DNA is a theory.
and so we don't need new building blocks. That's what we're referring to. We just create new things from the same building blocks. So
So
you're
it's
just
not
talking about-
evolution, it's just adaptation.
No, but that is new code, and that's what you just asked for.
No,
Sure
that's
is.
building off of code already there.
But-
So
yeah,
that's
we've got-
adaptation. That's
We've got
mutations.
we've got an alphabet. can't we? It's got 26 letters. So what you're saying is we can't make new words, but without, I don't know. Of course we can make
Well,
new words. We could just
well,
we
yeah,
can take
but the letters are
they
there
have
already.
new words.
The letters are already there, so
the
it's
same
not
with, the
evolution.
same with DNA though. The same with DNA. We have the building blocks. We can make new stuff, just like we can make new words from our alphabet that didn't
Yeah,
exist.
with the enzymes that are already there.
We don't need new letters to we don't need new letters to make new words. We can make new words from the alphabet, just like we can make new unique DNA patterns and custom genes from the DNA.
Yeah, from already.
have.
Yeah, but I'm saying that's already from information that's
But
already.
yeah, I'm going to say you don't need
Custom
some,
genes. Huh?
But they're words that didn't exist before.
You need some knowledgeable entity to have that information to create an alphabet. So in order to have DNA, then you need some kind of knowledgeable outside.
Well, that's a different story. That's creation, but creation of life, abiogenesis, is different from evolution, right? So you can believe in both. You can say, God created life, because science can't really explain how we went from no life to life at this time. So it's okay to say, God created life and allowed for the process of evolution. I think a lot of religious people are okay with that and believe that. There's no reason that both can't be true. So again,
well, they can't though, can they? Because
people who believe in that ain't reading the Bible, then, are they?
Yeah, they can't be because according to the Bible, Chris, it's a young Earth. It's not. There ain't billions of years, so you need these billions of years for evolution. So Christians who believe in evolution aren't true Christians who believe what Bible says. You can't be a Christian and just pick what you want to have from Bible.
That's cherry picking. They're compromising with their faith then, because you read the Bible, it gives a clear way of how it doesn't give you all the dynamics of how he did it, but he pretty much tells you, he outlays it in bullet points how he created the world. He spoke it and it happened. And the way he describes it as a flat earth, geocentric. Geocentric as in flat, not geocentric as in just earth-centered as a globe, geocentric as in flat, earth in the middle. And he bullet pointed how he did it. You know what I mean? The sun came on the fourth day, light came fast before the sun came on the fourth day. For your heliocentric, you need the sun to be fast, and that all links hand in hand with evolution. So I don't know.
I want to talk about that. I just want to make sure that when you say Platzoid, that there's no new, because this is a talking point by people. You shouldn't say like new information can't come out of it. Again, we have the building blocks, and you can create new patterns from what we have. Just like the letters. We invent new things all the time based on what
you can only mutate
us, right? So
yeah, but I'm trying to explain to you. This is what natural selection is based upon. It's mutations. It's not anything got to do with actual new information code. It takes mutations. Just like it says here, mutations are source of new variation.
It is one of a few sources, yeah.
Yeah, natural selection itself does not create new traits. It only changes the proportion of variation that is already present in the population. The repeated two-step interaction of these processes is what leads to the evolution of novel adaptive features. So in other words, it's just mutation. That was my point.
So the mutation is just one of, it's actually not the main one at all. So recombination, which we're all familiar with, is basically, so you have 46 chromosomes, 23 pairs. You get basically 23 from your mother, 23 from your father, and then you end up with 46. That is a unique combination. So every generation no one has the genetics that you have, right? You'd have to be an exact clone or an identical twin. Other than that, no one in history has your genetic makeup. It's unique to you. So that right there, that is a unique combination. So
yeah, but that information is already present because you are carrying on genes from your previous line. So your mother and your father gave you those chromosomes, which they got from their mother and their father, and so forth. So the information's already there.
You could have a blonde and a brunette, a blonde and a woman with black hair, and they can have a brunette. Just put that in a box. That's a new trait. Of course, they exist in the world, but
that's a mutation. That's not evolution, though. That's mutation. That's what I'm trying to tell you. That's just mutation. You can have. I mean, you can have I've seen it before. You can have a black and a white mother, and a white baby comes out because of the pigments in the skin. That's not evolution. That's just simply the pigmentation based on mutation.
That's not a mutation, Fatima. That's recombination.
And
It's
I've no
mutation.
There's no
problem.
mutation.
I've no
No
problem with
mutation
that.
happened in reproduction in that example. But
I mean, I
okay,
have no problem with adaptation, but evolution. I mean, micro. You know what I mean? Adaptation, just like a bird's beak going longer for its situation, adapting to its environment, sort of thing. Maybe like an animal disguising itself in its skin or whatever, but changing from one thing to another. That's
See that's the
fantastic.
problem, isn't it? A bird
Yeah.
grows a longer beak, it's still a bird.
yeah, I think maybe
It's still a bird.
you have to think
It's
in
still a
longer
bird.
timescales. Is the way the way it makes sense to me is thinking in really long timescales. If you, of course, a bird's not going to turn into a bird in our lifetime. I mean, into anything but a bird in our lifetime. But
Yeah, but that's
Well,
the thing.
like
It's
the-
never been
In
observed.
any life,
in old age Earth theory, there were birds in past, and there's still birds now. Do you know what I mean? If birds were going to turn into something else, then why do we still have birds if it's turned into something else?
right. Well, there's different species of birds, right? There's all kinds of birds, and so the idea would be that they had a common ancestor, and then now what we have today is a variety of a common ancestor. So yeah, in the future there probably will be new variations of what we have now. But you just take a snapshot of what we have now. This is what we have. We didn't always have every bird, and in the future some of them will die
But
off, and
Have
some
you
of them will
have you
evolve.
heard of?
Nobody's observed this, so have they? You know, and it's all right claiming, well, it might happen in future, right? But you might find yourself, if you could get to future, that no, it's changed. You know what I mean? It's unobservable.
yeah, that's right.
Well, you can go back again, and I don't want to keep going back to the fossil record, but you can go back, and again, the depth goes with the historical timeline. So you won't find certain birds, let's say like a bald eagle, you won't find it if you go down to a certain layer. You'll continue to find other fossils of animals, but at a certain point, the bald eagle you will not find anymore.
Yeah, but that's the whole point. It's just adaptation. So it got to do with the environment. I mean, even human dieting has changed. That people have different traits today than people, let's say, 1,000 years ago. It
Well,
doesn't.
my
mean
point was
we've
just that
evolved,
there was a
we-
time when animals. I'm sorry. There was a time when animals existed on this planet when there was no bald eagles, and now there is. Same with people.
Why? Just because you found it at a certain layer.
Because because you can see as you go down that there were and again, this is just a random example of bald eagle, but you'll see that we find fossils, we find evidence for them, and then after through in a different period, right? So sometimes you'll see a break in the crust, and it'll be a totally different, like from this point lower, it'll be a lot of animals that didn't exist or do no longer exist that went extinct, maybe through some event. Could have been the asteroid, it could have been a glacier, it could have been a volcano explosion. So you'll find like, wow, this is something happened here, because below here we find a bunch of animals, and then we don't find them higher up, and then higher up we don't find them below.
You know, but let's, for instance, take dogs, for instance. There's a lot of dogs today that didn't exist before. Okay,
Yeah, very
that's
recently.
again not evolution. That's mutation. It's breeding from different kinds, and that mutated due to adaptation. Doesn't make it evolution though. So I think you got a total misunderstanding what evolution is, because evolution is simply it's creating new information that wasn't there to be able to adapt it to the new environment, to be better
all right.
than what it was. And there's nothing in history that shows anything has evolved to be better with new information than it was.
So I wouldn't disagree that that's not evolution, but you keep saying it's mutation, but it's not. There was no mutation. This was selective breeding, right?
Which is mutation. It's exactly that.
No, there's no mutation. This is recombination through reproduction. There's no mutation. Mutation is when the DNA gets altered, like in your body, right? But this is not what's happening. Recombination means there's no damage or change in the DNA. It's just you have this, and then they combine to make something that's new and novel, right? Nothing mutated in this. Mutation is a thing, and recombination is a thing, but you're calling everything mutations.
It's a genetic mutation is exactly what it is.
All right. I mean, we could agree to disagree, but yeah, the mutation is a thing, but not everything is mutation. That's all.
Okay.
Okay.
I
Well,
think
how about the
you're on about
protocell?
the
I'm sorry,
layers.
PJ.
I'm saying I think with the layers, I think the flood it explains the sedimentary layers. I don't think any layers got anything to do with any time period. I just think when the flood came, everything got all washed up in that flood, and when it settled, the sediment settled by density. You know what I mean? Different densities and in different piles. It just layered depending on its density. I don't think it's got anything to do with I mean, all the earth, all any kind of sediment that was there back then is still here now. It doesn't just come from outer space because there's no outer space and land. There's new sediment or whatever. Any kind of sediment that's here has always been here. So it's the same back then as it is now. It just got tumbled up and messed about. You know, with the flood.
And it was rapid layering
And
because
it was rapid. Yeah.
they've found upright trees going through all these different layers. Do you know what I mean? It's like,
Look, I mean, look, if that made sense to me, I would believe it. But the problem I have with that, PJ, is if everything just settled by density, wouldn't we dig down and the rock and the earth get denser and denser as we go? But that's not the way it is. So I don't know. That doesn't. I don't know how that would work.
Do you know anything about the protocell?
The protocell? No. Do you tell me?
That's supposed to be the first cell organism start for the evolutionary line. So in other words, the protocell is what had to create itself to be able to create new information to start off the evolutionary chain.
Okay. Yeah. No. Again, I would differentiate abiogenesis or creation from evolution. I think that they're separate things, and we know of evolution and we can demonstrate it. We don't know how life started, so I wouldn't even go there.
Remember when you came on, you said, yeah, to you that's the most better explained thing through history is evolution. But that's where we disagree though,
Yeah,
because when it comes to everything we observe, everything needs creation. And that's why we fall under no, it's a rather created than evolved. Because even if you go to the bottom of the tip of the cup, that's why I pointed out the protocell, you still need it to be created. So even if you wanted evolution, you'd have to, at the end of the day, just say, yeah, even the protocell had to be created. So
Okay.
therefore creation.
Yeah, the universe could have been created. The Big Bang could have been the result of some ancient deity. Oh, jeez, what the hell was that?
Yeah. But I think you hear us joking around a lot, like when you get a cow running into the ocean, when does it become a dolphin? You know, that's the kind of things we see
But
as
But
obviously
that's a
joke.
meme. That's a meme, though, right? I mean, you can't if you. That's just a meme. If you're honest and you really want to understand evolution, that's obviously silly. That's not.
Yeah, it's just a joke, but I'm saying,
Yeah.
but this is why we're saying we don't see those transitions.
No, of course we didn't. Well, because that's a ridiculous transition. Of course we don't. I mean, that's silly. The transitions are tiny. Like, a wolf didn't pop out a Chihuahua either, right? It took many generations, and so that's like saying when does a wolf turn into a Chihuahua? Well, it doesn't work that way, but it did happen, right? So,
Actually, can you just
Yeah.
get that link up that I've just posted and to show Chris Ramon about with these upright trees?
yeah.
Okay.
I have some stuff too.
I mean, it wouldn't have settled perfectly, especially if it was rapid settling. It wouldn't have. The rocks wouldn't have gone to the bottom. And I don't mean that kind of. I mean, with the softer sediment. I mean, it would have been that would have probably gone according to the densities. But rocks, that everything was flinged all over the place, and if it was rapid, it would just be all jumbled up. It's. I think the flood explains it a lot better than any kind of layer being different eras.
yeah, I mean, I where's this link? I mean, I'm happy to read it on my
It's
own.
in the
Like I
private-
said, I want to know as much as I
Yeah,
can.
I've posted them in private chat. Private chat in Restream, Chris.
Got it. Okay.
Quite interesting. So they're saying the trees are
Fine.
through millions of years of rock layers.
Trees are millions of years old, whichever way you want to look at it. Like, which
It's interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I would have to take a look at it, obviously, and it's interesting. Sure. Uh, like I said, I'm not a paleontologist or anything like.
Yeah,
Or
yeah, yeah,
so,
yeah. We're not attacking you or anything. We're just
yeah.
trying to get out, trying to find out why you believe evolution.
The
Right.
biggest. I mean, I weren't on board with evolution before I became a Christian. But for me, there's just serious gaps in evidence for it. And then when you look at all different ways that fruit past have tried to present missing links, like that Lucy were on about, and Piltdown Man, and all these different hoaxes that they've
Same.
try
All
and
done
fill
that,
in these gaps. Do you know what I mean? It all starts to make you think, like, is this even true? Like, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, I hear you. Yeah, so you, I mean, again, I like to separate, but you guys, so you're proposing that there's a creator or intelligent design,
Yeah.
which is okay, because
Mhm.
that you can still have evolution. I mean, but if you're saying that we were created as is,
Yeah.
right? Is that
Well,
is that
I don't know if you know, like, but you know what they call Neanderthal.
yeah?
But when you look at a Neanderthal skull, it's exactly like a human skull, only it's got a bigger brain capacity, it's bigger set bones, thicker, tougher, stronger.
Mm-hmm.
As it
Very
would
similar.
describe in Bible, when people were living 4, 5, 6, up to nearly 1,000 years in some cases,
But you see this.
and they've got the skull brows right pronounced, and from what I gather, like all through your life, your skull brow gets more prominent as you get older,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
that's what you see in these so-called Neanderthal skulls.
Mhm.
Yeah, and that's
So
that's
they're
how we
basically
say.
just better, tougher, more sturdy humans.
But that was, like I said, that
Sure.
was the environment of the day.
Mm.
That's what I say. When it comes, evolution's supposed to be better, and we seem to be de-evolving, not evolving.
Well, being bigger and tougher doesn't make you more successful in survival and generation to generation. We're the most successful species on the planet. Obviously, there's animals that are way bigger and tougher than we are, but we dominate the planet. So, and there
but
have been
God created man He created this creation for man to live in and preside over. That's what Bible tells you.
So, do you believe
sure.
we're still evolving? Do you believe we're still evolving, or we've reached the limit? Do you think we'd like next stage is like, say, a vampire, because a vampire would be much superior to us? We'd be like food to a vampire. Just for instance, just vampire sake.
Yeah. So evolution is not directed towards superior, right? It's actually just towards more adapted to the environment, right? So if in the future, let's say the planet is twice the temperature it is now, right? So that in order to survive there, you'd have to be a completely different body type, right? So are they superior to us? Well, not now. They wouldn't be. That
No,
we're
but that's the
superior in
problem.
that
That's
sense.
that is
Well-
just that's adaptation. Like, I mean, you get skin pigmentations not based on the weather and stuff. Anyway, that's just adaptation. I think. That's not
Well,
evolution.
Well, you don't get black people because it's the weather.
Well, I'm just gonna say, I thank
You
you
get a
very
tan,
much.
but white people we get a tan. But
Yeah, I think it's a melatonin. But anyway, thank you, Roger Little, for $2, which I says two things: the dodo and the basil whale. The whale's a big one because that definitely has a big missing link. But thank you very much, Roger. Really
Well,
appreciate the super chat.
okay,
mate.
so if you there's one example that I heard along the way about genetics, and so evolution claims that we have a common ancestor. I hope you guys should know better now that don't say we evolved from monkeys, right? We have a common ancestor with chimps, gorillas, orangutans, right? So if that's true, you would expect. Well, one thing that's interesting about that is they all gorillas, chimps, orangutans all have 48 chromosomes, which is 24 and 24. We have 46. So that is like, what the hell is going on there? Okay, so if we share a common ancestor, the common ancestor would have either had 48 or 46, and given that 3 out of 4 had 48, the common ancestor probably would have had 48. So what happened to our two chromosomes, right? If you can't, basically, if we look at our genome and we can't find those two chromosomes, because they don't just disappear. If they were to just disappear, you're dead, right? You can't, there's no human without. If
Or
you
we're
just
not
take away,
related.
or right, or we're not exactly. So we have to explain, something has to explain what happened to those two chromosomes, because if they just went
We
away,
never had them.
you can't, there's no, you take away
We never
two
had them.
chromosomes, maybe.
But that's the thing. We never had them. See, you're going on the postulation as
Well,
well, because the apes are very close by to us and chimps. Therefore, they have more chromosomes. So we have to have lost it. So therefore, we evolved.
well,
Just because we're similar doesn't make us the same. This is where we say God has created us a specific being, and He created the chimps as a specific being. That's
Okay.
also why we keep saying, why did only some chimps then evolve, according to you guys, and not all of them?
Well, here's the thing, though, Flatzoid. So we have mapped the human genome, and we can see our chromosomes, right? Now, I don't know what you know about chromosomes, but they're basically picture a straw, or take a straw and cut it in half. Take a straw and cut it in half, and then you have two pieces. That's a pair of chromosomes. Now, on the end of each chromosome is called the telomere, right? So it's like, think of a cap on each end of the straw, right? Telomere on each end, and in the center of the chromosome, there's something called the centromere, okay? This is true for all chromosomes, okay? So telomeres on the end, centromere in the middle. And so, all right, so we're going to look at the human genome, and if we can't find these two chromosomes that, they didn't just disappear, we have to find them somewhere. Otherwise, evolution would be impossible. We wouldn't have a common ancestor with apes, at least. What they found is, now picture those two chromosomes, those straws with the caps on the end, the telomeres on each end. They found that one of our chromosomes, chromosome number 2, is actually a fusion of two chromosomes. So you have telomere chromosome with the centromere in the middle, other end of the chromosome with the telomere on the end fused to another telomere, centromere in the middle, and then telomere on the end. No other chromosome has a telomere in the middle, right? So this is a fusion. So this is what happened to that missing chromosome. When we had to find it, otherwise, it disproves the common ancestor. But we did find it, right? So it's fused to another chromosome, and we actually know which chromosome from the chimp was fused, right? So, or not from the chimp, but the chimp has the same chromosome, but it's not fused. All right. So, well, how does intelligent design explain that? Right. So
God created one fused and created not the other fused. That's the difference between us.
Right. So we either created a fused chromosome in humans to make it look like
to make
we
them unique.
have a common ancestor with.
No, let's put it this way. Let's say the chimps also didn't have the fused, will they be as intelligent as us?
Well, there's a lot that determines intelligence, not just number of chromosomes, But
you see, because that's just their makeup. That's just the makeup.
So you think that we were designed with a fused chromosome in order to
because it's our
makeup,
makeup,
or make us think that we have a common ancestor, or
no one's saying we have a common ancestor.
Again, I'm not being a dick. I'm literally.
No, I understand.
It doesn't make sense to me.
Can I ask you a question, Chris, please?
I don't see why God would do that, or a designer would do that. It doesn't make sense.
Can I ask you another question?
Yeah,
this what you've just been talking about. Where can I see it? Like,
I can search for it. I have some idea what it's called.
Can I see like footage through like an electron microscope or something showing me these things?
Yeah. It's a very, very thick not thick is not the right word. It's a very, I don't know, science. It's very sciencey and a slow read. But yeah, I don't know. I have a lack of words, but let me share it. I'm happy to share it. It's because I forget how many years ago it was that they first mapped our genome, and then when they mapped the chimp genome, or vice versa, they mapped the chimp first, I think. Anyway, when they mapped ours, that's when they went looking.
You know what I find really odd is how the laminin has a. You saw how the laminin looks.
I'm sorry, with the what?
Laminin.
The laminin.
Yeah.
Is it that looks like a cross or something?
Yeah, it looks like a cross. This is where we, as a creationist, would say God already how can I put it? Put it entwined into us to show that it's a foresee that Jesus is going to die on the cross for us. Now we can put it that way and say it's already prophesied in our own DNA. There's more link to show laminin to the Christian faith than there is for your belief that because we have a fused chromosome, therefore we had to evolve.
I'm not saying any single thing is proof for evolution. I'm just saying, you have to then accept that it was designed that way, and I have a hard time with that. That's all.
Radio halos prove it.
Wait, let me. You guys asked for someone asked to see.
Yeah,
basically this thing. So
Yeah, you can show.
just give me. I'm not gonna show. I'm gonna put. I'll put a link to it as soon as I can.
Okay. Otherwise, yeah, you can put it up. And Roger Lidwell, another
just
$2 super chat.
Go ahead.
Sorry, he says 46 and 2. Isn't that mostly a female thing? 46 and 2. Isn't that mostly a female thing?
I
have no idea what that means.
I
mate.
don't.
I think he's talking about the chromosomes. So
Chromosomes, yeah.
I'm not sure, Roger, but thank you very much for your super chat, man. Really appreciate it. Good morning. Good to see you guys. Please hit the like, share the show. It's great to have you guys here.
Let's see if I can find it.
There we go.
I believe the technical term for what I'm talking about is called pleiochroic halos. Look it up, polonium-218. It proves beyond the shadow of a doubt not only that evolution couldn't be true, but also that the Earth was not formed from molten rock or metal, that it's impossible.
Right, and I think it's important to know, like, just I'll look it up, but this article doesn't prove no single thing proves or disproves any, on its own. That would be extremely rare. I mean, you can have something that's like, wow, this can disprove something, but it's the collection of evidence that makes me convinced of something. That's all.
You might want to look into this then, because I didn't think it was true either. But when I looked into it, I was like, whoa, there's a lot of stuff about this.
Okay.
A lot of people studying.
How do I drop this in chat? So.
There's private chat at the bottom. Anyway, before we do that, I just want to say, you see, lamitins are family of glycoproteins of the extramolecular matrix of all animals. They are major constituents of the basement membrane, namely the basal lamina, the protein nutrient foundation for most cells and organisms. Laminins are vital to biological activity, influencing cell differentiation and migration and adhesion. So that's why I say this alone is more prominent than showing just because you have a fusion of a of a cell or not, which is okay. I got your link.
So wait, you took it down before I could actually see it.
Sorry, it's just to say the laminin is what's the most building blocks of the proteins, which gives the mutations in short.
Sure, but what is that? What is that evidence for? I'm not sure what that's supposed to imply.
It's showing that it's created in a certain form, like it had to be created.
Yep, that's exactly what it proves.
It wasn't evolved. It's created with certain structure to function a certain way.
Granite with its large crystals cannot be made from any molten rock, including molten granite. When men melt granite and then let it cool, it always reforms itself into rhyolite, which never into granite again. So rhyolite has smaller crystals and looks different. Therefore, this evidence, granite was not formed from molten rock. Bingo.
Right, but man, like, I hear you, and maybe that's true. I don't know. It's not my area of expertise, but it sounds like that supports the idea of, what you want to be true, right? And so, just because you hear one thing that supports.
Well, I mean, you can look at it however you want, but I'd say I'm just telling you maybe you should research it and take a look at it before you judge it. That's
I'm
all
happy to. I'm not judging it one way or the other. I'm just saying, be careful. About one piece of evidence that supports what you want to believe, and just saying, well, that says that, and then case closed. That's all.
100% agree. Yeah, look at all the evidence.
I've got a 1,000-page book in my hand that has a whole bunch of reasons.
I don't doubt it. Like I don't know anything about it. So true, not I don't. That's fine. I just we all have a tendency to I don't know disregard things that don't you know prove or
Can I ask you
support
another
what we want.
question, Chris?
Yeah, what's up?
What, if you were to come to understanding that this evolution weren't true, what would the implication on you regarding that?
No implication. No implication. I'd want to know what was true, and I would move forward with that. So,
But
like I said last time, I definitely have believed things that weren't true at some point. I think we all have. That would be impossible if that weren't true. So yeah, if I believe something and it turns out not to be true, I have no stake in the game. Like
no. So,
I'm not.
but I mean, well, I suppose what I mean is like, would you start looking into we are created?
Yeah. I was gonna say,
Yeah,
would
I
you-
mean, I suppose evolution is going to be a tough one. It's a really long standing. There's I know you guys are going to disagree, but the amount of evidence from all different directions is overwhelming. So to actually disprove it all, it's kind of like the shape of the Earth,
But
right?
how come there's so many doctors and PhDs telling you to have a serious look at it? Like then,
No, we all should have a serious look. That's okay. Yeah, we should. You
but
should. But
if they actually thought it were nailed on empirical, then they wouldn't be telling you to question it, would they? Do you know what I mean?
right,
So
but
there's got to be something wrong with it.
But there's nothing more. Their opinion doesn't matter any more than the even more people on the other side that would tell you, of course, evolution's almost obvious. I mean, it's all.
It don't matter to me.
So
My point
PhD on
being
this side,
is
PhD on that side.
yeah, my point being is more to you, like like you believe in globe and all that, like so you believe what science says. So when there's 1,000 scientists, so-called PhDs, doctors, whatever you want to call them, saying, "Look, we think that you should look into this because there's something wrong with it," then that was my point in showing you that. Not for me. I don't care what a scientist says. I know a lot of them are just fed and parrot back what they've learned, But scientists don't mean naught to me. I was just pointing that out to you because you come from that side where it all relies on so-called science.
Well,
So
I
then-
think I don't just blind like I'm not going to believe everything that someone just says because they say it. It has to make sense to me, right? If it doesn't make sense, then I don't care what degree you have. If it sounds stupid, and you're going to have to, you can still convince me of it, but it's going to take a lot. So I don't just take it on blind faith. I don't take anything on faith. But that's
Can I just quickly read the 2 super chats out, then we can carry on? Is that fine with you guys?
Yeah.
Jeff Conkle says, thank you for 2 Canadian dollars. He says, evolution is a fallacy like carbon dating. I agree. Carbon dating is very inaccurate. And there's many ways to show that as well. But thank you very much for your super chat, mate. I really appreciate it. Roger Ladle, $2 super chat. He says 46XX is female, 46XY male, hence the 46 and 2. So yeah, that makes a bit more sense. Thank you. But still, human. Thanks very much. Really appreciate it, man.
Mhm.
Okay.
I've got another link for you, Flatzide.
Don't you want to first finish that link that Chris?
Oh
put
yeah,
up?
yeah.
Yeah,
Sorry,
yeah.
my bad.
You're gonna say, I think you guys have got more faith than us sometimes. You know
Oh,
what I
yeah,
mean? Because to believe what you do without any observation whatsoever, something that can't be observed so long ago, and so many guesstimates and stuff like that, it takes a lot more faith to believe in all that coming together than a supernatural being created us by speaking it into existence.
Well, I don't know. Science
The
doesn't tend to make.
natural way of things is like things get designed and then they get built. They get thought, designed, and built. Things don't just happen into existence, So there's got to have been something that was there always, like an ever being. It can't just happen.
I don't know. I don't think that I think most scientists would agree with that. We don't know where everything came from. That
Yeah.
anyone who argues that they do, that's the thing, man. Scientists don't argue that we know how life started or how the universe started. When we don't know something,
Yeah.
we tend to admit we don't know it, and we try and find, evidence for an explanation.
Yeah.
That's what scientists don't do, but that is, and this is, I'm not trying to be offensive here. I'm not being a dick, but that is what religion kind of does. They see, in order to explain something, they can't have anything unexplained, right? So religion loves to. No, this is a very big generalization, but religion does tend to see something and then they must come up with an explanation, so they do, right? And so this explains. They have to explain everything. Where science doesn't work that way.
That's
that's
religion.
what I
That's
disagree
religion.
there.
I disagree with that as well.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
fine. Yeah. I mean,
But
again,
before we
it's
do
not.
that-
This is not a broad. I'm painting a very broad brush here,
Yeah.
but it was really more about science that we don't just when we don't know something, we don't just fill it in with whatever the first thing comes to mind. We admit we don't have an answer for this at the time.
Yeah. But I just want to say thank you again for another $2 super chat, Roger. He says, "What in one hand? What want in one hand and shit in the other." Okay, thank you very much for the super chat.
Which one gets full faster?
Thank you very much, man. Appreciate it. But yeah, with your
That's
sentiment now with the religion and the science, you see, I see science as it's just a method to try and figure out what we observe every day. So you're figuring out a cause for what you're observing, and you can't really place evolution under scientific because there's no observation for evolution.
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
it can't really be placed under science to say as the strict scientific method, but you can call it pseudoscience because it's based on faith. It has to be, because most of the things that's coming is like you're saying there's so much overwhelming evidence, but we don't see this evidence anywhere. It's taking strands and clutching at straws from every which way to try and say this is why we have evolution, but in the meantime it just breaks down always to no, there was creation and we have adaptation.
Well, okay, no, Evan. How come polar bears are white and brown and black bears are brown and black?
Adaptation.
Yeah.
Adaptations. That is
And
due to
adaptation and because of the diet.
But wait, so if you think a polar bear that was born in the United States or in the UK would
Mhm.
be what color?
The same as what his mother and father gave him. That's why it's carrying on the genome.
So they wouldn't adapt. So all right, so if you took a brown bear and put it in the Arctic, where the polar bears live, what color would it be, and what color would its kids
Still
be?
brown. Still brown.
So why isn't it adapting? To the environment?
Adaptation and mutation doesn't take just. It takes generations.
But now
So
you're
it's
talking about evolution. That is evolution, Fatsoid.
No,
Then
that's
you believe
not.
in evolution.
It's not
if you think-
evolution. Evolution is new
Yeah.
information. Evolution is specifically new information. There's no new information
I-
with evolution.
I think we need to define what evolution is
Yeah,
then, because from
maybe.
what I'm understanding, evolution is one thing becoming something else.
Yeah. Exactly.
With new
And
information.
So
Yeah.
that'd mean you'd have to have your polar bear, and then
Yeah.
in generations you'd
It's a
end
way.
up with a
All
dog.
right,
Yeah.
So Fatsoid, you're saying that after generations, a brown bear would have white fur if it lived in the Arctic for long enough time, enough generations.
It could if it adapted to that environment for that.
Okay, so would you still call it a brown bear if it was white?
No, because it's changed. But that's why I remember I brought up
That's-
earlier when I said you can have two black people and they have a white baby, because it's just what to do with the tone of the skin with melanin or whatever it's called. It's a genetic mutation.
That's
Doesn't
right. But that's
it
a rare.
doesn't make it
that's not what
doesn't
we're
make
talking
that
about.
baby. It doesn't make that baby not a
No, but
baby human anymore. Just like the brown bear wouldn't be a brown bear anymore, even if it came out ginger.
right. But it
Well,
didn't happen. It's not just it didn't get a white bear from two brown bears. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about generations and generations of.
Mutation, yeah.
And so, like I said, you wouldn't call it a brown bear anymore, right?
But it'd still be a bear, though, wouldn't it?
It'd still be a bear.
Of course, it would still be a
Colour,
bear, but it would be a
don't-
different type of bear.
You don't call a black person
Yeah,
a different
But
type of human.
but basically now we're talking about a polar bear. It is a
Yeah, but
different thing.
let's for instance take it. There's people that live high up in the mountains, humans. and they've adapted to that environment. They're able to live their life that's ordinary. If we have to go up there now, we have to first adapt to that environment to get used to it. We're not
Yeah.
going to be able to breathe properly. We have to get, because they're still human. Nothing has changed. They've just adapted to it.
Well, all right. So yeah, but what do you mean you have to adapt to it? You think you're going to adapt to it in your
But
lifetime?
we're not used to that environment.
How much adapting are you going to do in your lifetime?
But I mean, let's put it this way: if you get people, where's there? There's a city they call it the highest city in the world or something, where if you had to go there now, they usually put you on oxygen and stuff for the first few days and things, that you're getting used to breathing again and everything to get it right, because you have to get the certain oxygen levels into your bloodstream.
Yeah.
They've adapted to that. They've survived on that. What I'm trying to say is they're still human. We're still human.
Yeah.
They haven't evolved. They've just adapted to the environment.
Well,
And
all
I
right.
think
So
you're misconstruing adaptation
but there are
of
limits.
things to saying it's evolution.
I think you're right, but there are limits. So, for instance, native people to Africa, right, have very dark black skin, right,
Yeah.
and that's because the sun is so strong there. They need to regulate the amount of sun that they allow into their system, right? People in Ireland have much paler skin. There's because of the climate there. There's not as much sun. The sun is not as strong, and they have whiter skin, which allows the sun through, right? So yeah, of course, any of us, or if you're white, you go to Africa somewhere it's really sunny, we will adapt to our environment, but only to a degree, right? We'll get tan. Our skin can produce melanin, and we will get pretty dark. We're never going to be black like the people from Africa,
Obviously
right?
not.
No.
So
But
that's
that's
the
that's
difference.
that's a genetic trait that's carried on
Right,
from the parents.
exactly, Flatzoid. So there is adaptation and evolution, right? So you can adapt to your environment. You will, if you go and live in Africa, you will adapt by getting a tan, and you get a pretty dark tan. But there's a limit. The black people who live there, they're not just adapted; they're evolved over time. That dark skin.
That's the thing. You got Chinese people, you got Asian, you got everybody, different races all over the world. They live in different places of the world for centuries now. They have not changed. They still
Well, it
the
takes
same.
longer than centuries. It takes a lot longer.
Yeah,
than
but you
centuries.
understand they're still the same. So in other words, it's never been observed
This
to
is
change.
so. This is an issue for me. It's like you've got adaptation and evolution, and when I say evolution, I'm saying like one kind becoming another kind. They've been merged together into all being evolution and adaptation in one kind becoming another kind.
So one kind
just
becoming
not.
another kind, you're complaining that's actually called speciation, right? So
Yeah.
that
But
evolution is you're
define what is the accurate definition for evolution?
it's the change. It's the change in how well adapted a species is over generations, from one generation
So
to the
that's
next.
adaptation then. That's
No, adaptation is what
based
you
on
said. You're
speciation
gonna
as well.
you can adapt to your environment. You can go to a higher elevation, and you can improve your lungs will become more efficient and work on less oxygen, but to a degree.
But that's
just
not
like,
evolution though. That's
no,
what I'm
it's
saying.
not.
That's
You're right.
not evolution.
You're right. That's adaptation. Just like if you go to Africa, you're in Africa, but you can get a tan as opposed to living in Alaska, and that is you're adapting to your environment. That absolutely would happen, but to a degree. If you're talking about generational change, right, which is what Black people and people, I don't know, other people throughout the world, like they live at high elevation. If you're talking, they have very efficient bodies in Kenya, but in Alaska they have very thick, heavy fat storing bodies because food is more scarce there. And in Kenya you have to run to 100 food over time. So but those are generational changes. You can't develop black skin from moving to Africa, and neither will your children have black skin just because they were born in Africa. That
Yeah,
no matter how long they live there.
But wouldn't you think that would be an evolutionary trait though? If you're claiming evolution would be better for a person, wouldn't that be something that's going to be better? Why are we seeming to be devolving and not evolving with time?
What sense are we devolving?
When we are devolving, let's for instance take the hunter gatherers. Okay, they were stronger than us. They were faster than us because of their diets and what they had to do. Today, I can guarantee you, we're not going to be half as strong or half as fit as they used to be then.
That's true, but that's not
We've
that's not the
devolved.
whole
We
picture.
haven't evolved then.
So who's more fit to live in the modern world, us or them?
We've adapted to technology because we've created technology to that. But again, it's adaptation.
We
That
didn't
doesn't mean
adapt
we've
to technology.
that doesn't mean we've evolved to become better humans.
Well, we evolved to become more intelligent than our really primitive ancestors, right? So
I
we
wouldn't
can.
say knowledge is evolution, though. I would say knowledge is based on history and learning from traits. Obviously, the more you're going to be with time, the more you learn. It's like when you're a baby, you can't expect someone who's been a baby for 4 years to understand the same thing as someone who's been around for 15 years.
I agree. No, intelligence and knowledge are different things. No, that's not what I'm talking about. We're more intelligent. I'm more intelligent than my dog. And I know more. It's both. I know more than my dog, and I'm more intelligent than my dog. But they are separate things.
But but that's the thing. That's the same with the chimps. We are more intelligent than chimps.
Absolutely.
And yet we're supposed to be cousins.
Correct. But they have their advantage over us, and we have their advantage over them, and they found their niche, and they thrive in their environment. Throw us into the Amazon, we're dead. We're lunch.
I don't think. No,
Maybe,
you get a lot of people that live in
not.
the Amazon that live perfect.
Well, if you're all right, no, we could live in Amazon, but if you're alone in the Amazon, but it may be a bad example. But they have evolved to thrive in that environment, so they would have advantages over us there, and so they're better fit for that environment. We're better fit for other environments, and that's why
I agree.
That's
why I say God created them for their type of environment, and God created us for our certain purpose. And that's why I said it comes down again to creation, how God created someone for a certain purpose. But I was going to say thank you for your $2 super chat. 46 and 2 never changed. Agree, Roger Ledwell. Thank you for your $2 super chat, man. Yeah, and that's the thing, because you have a show, it's changed.
I mean, can you imagine a fish coming out of water, like to walk on land? I mean, how many stages? How does it start? When does its gills shut up and lungs start to develop? When does a foot start? It's so many like things that can't be.
I know.
Confirmed. It's so much guesswork. It's unbelievable that
it's fantastical.
Most definitely not right. There's so much guesswork to it. It's more likely to be wrong than right.
I hear you, PJ. I think that you just
a pine tree and a whale is related in some way or form.
Yeah, billions of years ago. Yeah, true.
Yes.
Yeah.
How? It's just,
we do share a lot of similar things. Like we both have cells, right? And we both reproduce through not reproduce.
Okay, so
a pine tree is really going
I know,
way back.
Because if you think about it, if we already evolved so much, then why do we still have the need for a female and a male? Why can't we just be self-reproductive? You know what I mean?
Like that first cell, like that first cell organ, the one cell organism, it reproduced with itself. So why can't we do that?
That's a great question. I believe the answer to that is it
not more efficient to be able to reproduce for yourself rather than someone?
It's not, because then
you're dependent.
That's true, and that is a drawback. You depend on someone else, but the benefit is you get that recombination of genes, right? So the offspring is not just a copy of you, right? The offspring. So now this recombination of male and female gets half the genes, and you get this new population of people who have this new range of genes, and this is actually more beneficial for the long-term survival of the species, right? Rather than everyone just copying themselves. There'd been, again, recombination is a huge part of adaptation and evolution, right? It's not just mutation. Recombination is I don't want to say everything, but close.
Speciation.
So you're saying, it would be easier to reproduce if we could just reproduce ourselves, but we would lose that recombination factor, and that would really be detrimental to survival of the species.
And that's the thing. How did it do it anyway? How did it come out of this soup, this prebiotic soup, and turn into this one-celled organism that reproduced? Then that's not how cells work. One-celled organisms work. There's no such
Yeah,
thing.
yeah, no, I know. It's just, man, and I don't have the answer to that because again,
No,
I'm not a biology
exactly.
professor, right? I'm
No,
not,
of course. Because
but
it
that
can't be
doesn't mean
objective.
just because I don't understand it and you don't understand it, there are people who do understand it. So I
Well,
can't,
there's
just
people who think they
I
understand
think
it.
they understand it. Yeah.
you're right, but just I don't know. I understand there's complex subjects and we all can't be experts in everything, but you have to understand that there are people who understand things that we don't. We're not the experts in everything, and if you can't admit that there are people who are more
Yeah.
knowledgeable in certain subjects than you by a lot.
I,
Yeah.
I know about. I'll take you back to that descent from Darwinism again. There's biologists, biochemists, there's you name it on that list. They all see something wrong. You know what I
Wait,
mean?
say that last part again.
That back to that descent from Darwinism where I showed
Uh-huh.
you, right? There's
Yeah.
biochemists, biologists, you name it. They're all on there. Yeah, they
It's
see something wrong with it. That's why it's called the descent from Darwinism. Yeah.
but the
So
second line in the title only said that we should consider Darwin's evolution and we should be critical and think of it
critical of it, yeah. But
whatever it said.
all them people on that list are questioning it. That's basically what it's about. That's why it's the descent from Darwinism. They're questioning it because there's all these holes. And these are your scientists on that list as well. Do you know what I mean? So it's not as nailed
but
on
I
as you
agree.
think it is.
But I agree with the title. It just says we should be, critical. We should be critical of any scientific idea or suggestion. Yeah, we should.
Well, I can bring up the top 5 areas.
But that doesn't mean those people on the list don't believe in evolution. That is not true. I don't know if it's true, but that just the fact that the title says that and they're part of their name is on the paper doesn't mean they don't believe in evolution. That the title doesn't imply that at all.
What do you think
Because I
descent?
can give
What do you think descent from Darwinism means then?
I don't know. I'd have to read the paper, but just judging from the title, it seems to, which is just the title, and that seems like a catchy title. So how titles are created. Just from the 2 sentences in the title, it seems like it's just saying we should be, critical of it. That's all.
Yeah.
I mean, and I agree with that.
But
I don't. It'd be
that
weird
should
if
be-
someone.
yeah, but that
didn't
should be a given. That don't need scientists to sign a paper to say that we should be critical, does it? You know what I mean? I think
Yeah, I
you're
agree.
misinterpreting what it's about. Personally, I
yeah.
think there's questions regarding Darwinism, that there's holes in the theory, so-called, and these people are questioning that. That's what I think
okay.
it's about.
There are holes in everything, and just because we don't know everything, but it doesn't make something not
if
true.
that being the case, then there can't be people who know that this is how it happened. You know what I mean?
but yes, thank you, Roger, for another $2.
So if it was so nailed on and everybody knew evolution happened this way and it was nailed on, then there wouldn't be no descent from Darwinism.
Mhm.
Well,
I'm
I
gonna
haven't
show-
read it. I haven't read it, guys. So
I'm going to show you 5 areas of science that are problems for evolution, but I'll show that now. I just want to say thank you, Roger Little, for your $2 super chat again. He says, we are created for our region gods, no dummy. Thank you very much for your super chat, man. Really appreciate it. You rock. Okay, so these are the 5 that I find most the problems for evolution. Maybe we can go through each one of them and we can see how evolution will try and rebut it. Is that fine?
Okay. Sure. Yeah. Don't evolution. I'm just
Yeah,
reading along with you.
No, you just like me. I'm not claiming to be an expert on evolution or anything.
Yeah.
But we're having a nice conversation, and I really appreciate it. And like I said, you're always respectful, and I respect you, man.
Absolutely.
Yeah. If you guys are about to show me something, I have something that contradicts what it says, I'll say it. But if I don't, I don't. I don't know.
Yeah. Okay. So, number 1, genetics. This is what we were talking about earlier. Mutations cause harm and do not build complexity. This is why I said we are devolving, not evolving with mutation.
Right. So mutations could be harmful or beneficial. They're not. They don't have a direction. They're just mutations, right? A mutation many times could be harmful, but occasionally you will get a beneficial one, and right. So all you need is a couple of people that get a beneficial mutation, and now that's introduced into the gene pool.
But you see, there'll always be a pro and a con, though, for every
Right,
mutation.
but that's okay. If you have 1 million people and they reproduce, and then the second generation of a million people have, let's say 10,000 of them have this beneficial mutation, and 100,000 of them had a detrimental mutation. Okay, those 100,000 are going to struggle to survive, and probably natural selection will eliminate them. But those ones who got lucky, even if it's 10 people, now that beneficial mutation is in the gene pool and is likely to survive. That's what natural selection is. So, yeah, even if you said most mutations are negative or detrimental, sure, natural selection will get rid of them, but your occasional lucky positive mutation is where mutation comes into evolution. But again, mutation just a part of it. That's not responsible for all of evolution.
Yeah, definitely. That's what we're
But
saying.
that's how mutation
Actually,
over
that's just saying
time. Yeah, so mutation does, the end result is a net positive, because even though the majority of mutations could be negative, those are going to get eliminated through natural selection. The positive mutations survive and move on and move on and move on. So in the long run, is mutation a negative? Well, not really if the positive ones move on and the negatives don't.
Yeah, because you know what I find really funny, like if you look at through the line where we were supposedly this very hairy bunch of people, and they aren't able to even show that we were even full grown hair. They just kind of linked us to the apes because they're distant cousins. But there's no actual genetic evidence that we were fully furred up, you could say, like an ape.
Yeah, I don't know if there's DNA records of our common ancestor. I would say, I guess there's not, but we do share, I don't know what it is, 96% or something of our DNA makeup with chimps, right? So I assume it would be a little bit more with the common ancestor, but I don't think that is the thing. I don't know. I'm speaking out of school here.
Okay,
Can
and then
I just comment just on this common ancestry thing? Like,
Yeah.
if God created DNA, and we know there's DNA in all things, like, then there'd be a reason that things are linked. He's not going to create separate DNA for each kind. He's going to use what he's already got and share it out to what he wants to create.
Yeah, but I mean, we do have a lot in common. But it's true, though. Each species, do vary in their genetic makeup. But going back to number one before we move on, Flatzoid. So I would say this is just flat out false. Not all mutations are harmful, right? It's many. Even if you accept many are, you have to admit that occasionally you're going to get a good one, and then if you followed my logic a moment ago, that's how.
No, but like I said, it builds off of something. So you had to lose something to have that mutation, even if it is a good or a bad mutation. It had to build off of already based information. So if you already had the proteins and everything based on information, and it had to create new mutations, it's a de-evolution, not an evolution. Because evolution specifically needs you to create new information, not build off old information.
What's a good mutation?
I don't know, Spider-Man. I don't know,
Well, whether it's evolution or devolution, does it really matter? I'm kidding.
A good mutation would be immunity to some pathogen, right? So, and this is a thing, right? So, you can get a mutation to where you literally have immunity to some virus or some pathogen, and there are people that just won the lottery in that sense. But small thing, slightly improves their survivability, but that's.
I mean, you get some people they're like, let's for instance say bee stings. Some people are immune to bee stings, some people aren't.
Mm-hmm.
But you count that as a mutation, or is it just something genetic?
I don't know how it originated. I doubt that was a mutation. I was, people who are not allergic to bee stings probably evolved around bees, because if you were allergic to a bee, you are unlikely to pass on your genes. So the main population of people around bees are not allergic to bees. You wouldn't have evolved that way if you were from a part of the world, let's say, that didn't have bees, and then you came to a place like Africa. Yeah, people could have been allergic to bees and still survived.
Yeah.
Right. So they moved on, and they still survived to modern day. But people in Africa, if you were allergic to bees, you were eliminated. So,
Yeah, you got stomped by an elephant. Okay,
All right,
so we
well,
finished number 1. You guys happy with that? Okay, number 2. Biochemistry.
Yes.
Unguided and random processes cannot produce cellular complexity. So what I'm saying,
Exactly.
everything that we have is based on already based information. So there's no random processes of new information based for evolution.
right, but just the same principle applies for number 1. So mutations could be random, but it's the force of natural selection that makes that random mutations are random, but we've shown that but despite that, you get good ones and bad ones because it's random, and so it's the pressure of natural selection that then eliminates the bad ones, allowing the good ones to continue on. So you can get a random process,
But randomly mutates what's already there.
well, the building block is there, just like we build things in this world with elements and materials that are already here, but that doesn't mean the world, the Statue of Liberty was here. We built it, but that doesn't mean it existed before we built it. Yeah, sure, the materials did, but it's still a new thing that didn't exist before.
You guys have anything
I got
else?
some comments from Nobel Prize winning people that claim that this is all crap, but
Yeah, but like I said, we're not here to debate or anything, guys. We're just here to have a discussion there.
yeah, that's why I've been kind of quiet.
So we're allowed to agree to disagree.
yeah, we can agree to disagree. I'm just explaining, when I'm just reading this for the first time, and I'm just using what I know and some logic, and that's I would say random processes can, random process or randomness plus pressure that eliminates the bad and only the good move on to the next lottery and the next generation. Well, then you just end up with a positive progression. So I don't know this. I don't know where this is from, but that also seems a little bit disingenuous, this claim.
This is from the Gospel Coalition. Okay.
Yeah.
And I'm going to say it out. A lot of the you're going to have against evolution is from creation ministries and stuff, because obviously it's creation.
Naturally. Naturally. Yeah. I
Sure,
don't
but
know.
there's a lot of Christian so-called scientists as well, isn't there?
There's a lot of Christian creationists, biologists, and paleontologists, and everything. So,
But so I disagreed with some portion of 1 and 2. It doesn't. I didn't know where this was from. It's nothing to do with Christianity. Or, it's just this could have been a scientific journal, and I would have disagreed with it. So.
Okay, and then we move on to paleontology. The fossil records lack intermediate fossils.
Yeah. So of course, there's always going to be an in between, right? So if we give you, if you have 2 things, and I give you the intermediate, well, then there's 2 more intermediates missing. So I don't know.
It's like you're putting a puzzle piece, and then you find there's another puzzle piece missing once you put it in.
Well, like if I say here's A and B, and then you say, well, or A and Z, and what's in between? Well, I put something in between, and now you say, well, what's in between those? So now I basically doubled my missing links, right? So So true. What does it say? The fossil record lacks intermediate fossils. Well, there's tons of intermediate fossils, but you can say the intermediates lack intermediates. So I don't know.
But that is an issue, though.
Well, you can.
I'm going to still outright deny that there's intermediate fossils. Like, I don't believe there is at all.
Yeah, and that's why I brought Lucy up earlier, because that whole argument for Lucy was they made a complete specimen out of Lucy without having any actual evidence for it. They just decided, let's put this together, that together, and make up a part of the link, you could say.
Even if I granted you that Lucy was a complete hoax, though, that doesn't disprove evolution just because some group of people decided to lie about something, right? That doesn't.
But you have to wonder why the need to fake things if it's so provable.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I don't know enough about Lucy or how much of her makeup is found.
100% chimpanzee, Lucy. 100%.
Yeah, maybe, but that doesn't just that's a one. That's just one thing. There's others.
Yeah.
And that would be true both ways, man. Like, it's just you can't just let one piece, one thing like that, saying, oh, they only had 15% of Lucy, saying like that, everything else doesn't matter. It still matters.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's true. Austin Town might say that. The irony is they will always be searching for the missing link because the link is God. Yeah, man.
Amen.
That's a good point. But like I said, the missing link, if you found the missing link, there'd be 2 more missing links in between the missing link and the other one,
But you guys missed it. Sean Hawkins is the missing link, guys.
What?
Oh, well. Okay, and next, taxonomy. Biologists have failed to construct Darwin's tree of life. And I think you also just said this now. Every time you're going to find a link, there's going to be 2 links missing. So, yeah, I think it's always going to be impossible to make his tree of life 100% complete.
Yeah, I would agree. Yeah, exactly. The missing link is just the result of 2 links now that have a missing link in between them.
So it always just grow.
It's always going to be that way. So it's kind of a weird.
And then obviously number 5, chemistry. The chemical origin of life remains an unsolved mystery.
That's true. I agree with that.
Just like you said, you guys aren't claiming to know.
Yeah.
That's why the protocell was there. That was because evolution requires the protocell to exist, but there is no protocell to show. So that's why I say the foundations is very shaky for evolution.
Do you want to have a look at my next link?
You got a link as well? You have a link?
Yeah, I'm going to get it now.
Okay.
There's a lot of things in it, but when you scroll down to the bottom, it gives you all the sources, books where it's been taken from and stuff.
Okay.
One mind, one spirit. I don't know what you're referring to. I don't know what you meant by that. Well, I just scroll back, reading the chat. So I'm grasping at non-existent straws now. I don't know what that was about.
I will say this is probably Christian based as well, but all things in text is all down at bottom, like what who said it and
what references and everything.
Yeah, references,
Okay.
But there's a lot in it.
Okay, where do you want to start?
I don't know where to start because there's a lot. Maybe just read that. Read first.
We'll just read the headlines and then we'll go from there.
And then just let Chris take link and read it himself.
Okay. Evolution is not happening now. I think we'd all agree we can't observe evolution now. So, it says, first of all, a lack of case for evolution is clear from the fact that no one has ever seen it happen. If a real process, evolution should be occurring, and there should be many transitional forms that we could observe, what we would see instead. But this is exactly what we're saying. You guys are saying it's too much of a long process to be able to see.
Well, I think there are examples.
Observable.
No, there are. I'm pretty sure. So, just because this says that, I mean, so if I read something like that, I would go and look. I would look that up and see if there's something that contradicts. Like, yeah, is this true? The lack of the fact that no one has ever seen it happen should be occurring, and there's many transitive forms observed. And so, yeah, so I would look up. Hey, is there any evolution that we have observed? And I think you might get things like the pepper moth, right? Which is, if you guys don't know, I don't know if this is it's supposedly this is a true example, right? So there's like this white moth with black pepper spots on it. This is what you're taught in biology class. So there's this white moth, black spots on it, and it lives on the trees in Europe somewhere, and they're white trees. And what happened was,
but that's got to do with natural selection, though.
Which drives evolution, exactly. Right. So this is an example of both.
Yeah, so, but this is what we say. Natural selection isn't evolution, though.
It's just mutation. Evolution is the result of natural selection.
See, this is where I think where waters are muddied, you see. You've got natural selection, which can be observed, to back up an unobservable evolution of one kind turning into another kind. Moth turns in. What does this moth do? Does it turn
Well,
into
again,
something else other than a moth?
yeah, it's still a
You
moth,
see what
right?
I'm-
But evolution
Still
is
a
not.
moth.
Yeah, but you're talking about speciation, and that's not evolution. Look up
It's doing it
speciation,
like because
and
evolution, like there were rocks, and then there were water, and then there were creatures, and then creatures come out of water and walked, and and eventually humans. So yeah,
Mhm,
that is what evolution is. It's not
Mhm.
it
not
is,
one
but
thing staying the same thing, but adapting a part of its body.
evolution happens not you're conflating speciation with evolution. That's what I'm trying to say. You keep saying kind becomes another kind.
Well,
That is
that was
not.
what I was taught evolution at school, mate.
Yeah, me too.
Well, yeah, I would suggest that there's a little bit of meta information we can give it to you there. Speciation, that is what speciation is, but evolution is
Well, there's
Yeah,
definitely some bad
It's,
information.
it's all under the term evolution, though. Speciation is still evolution, isn't it?
they're related, yeah,
Mm.
but it's I hear you keep saying kind becomes another kind, and like as if that is the
Well,
definition of
where
evolution.
did
but it's not.
humans come from?
Where did humans come from?
Yeah.
On what time scale? I don't know.
Just in your idea of like how come there's humans on Earth? Where did they come from?
Well, we came from our ancestors, who came from their ancestors and their
You see-
ancestors.
Right. So
But
monkeys
you
turning
see,
into humans.
I think what you were talking about, Michael, is abiogenesis.
Well, as far as I understand, that's why we all make fun of we
Yeah.
come from monkeys.
Yeah, but we see like because it's like you're saying everything arose from non-life, and then all of a sudden, it just kept on getting more complex through every process, and that's why it changed. That's why it moves into speciation then, where, for instance, you had a tadpole became a fish, and then the fish became a bird. You understand, kind of thing.
So you get
that's
speciation.
evolution.
You get speciation from a population of animals that live in a
Yeah.
place. Let's just say they live in Europe, and over
Mm-hmm.
time, some of them go north and some of them go south, and they start to adapt over time through natural selection, through adaptation. It's some adapt to the Arctic, and some adapt to the life on the equator or the savanna, and over time, those two populations grow so different that they can't breed anymore. That's how different they became, right? You can't just take two random species that can't make babies. When that is the case, that's what we call a different species. Which and then you can see that happening over time. If you have one population, but then they spend enough time apart in different environments for enough generations, you will eventually get polar bears and or two different types of cats, stuff like that.
But it's the same because of the information is getting more and more complex, but the information is still building off of already being there information. So therefore, it's not actually evolution.
I'm not hearing an accurate definition for it though, because when we asked Chris what to define it, it defined adaptation.
Well, evolution, yeah, adaptation and evolution are extreme, almost interchangeable in the sense. It kind of depends on what you mean by adaptation. There are different definitions, but evolution is just a species becoming better fit for their environment. That's all it is. If you're more, as you evolve, you're just becoming better and better fit to survive in your environment. That's all.
So what type of environment required a monkey to become a human?
Well,
and don't say no, that's not the case. They were just a common ancestor, because it really does mean that monkeys eventually started walking upright and became humans. That is what's claimed.
Right. Well, right. So whatever the common ancestor species is, those who walked upright or our ancestors were really good hunters. They were distance hunters, right? We could kill a buffalo. You never catch a buffalo in the field, but if you walked 20 miles, the buffalo would collapse on the floor and we'd be able to just kill it, right? So we evolved things like that, whereas your chimpanzee can't do that.
Where's that being observed happening?
Oh, in Africa,
to make that claim, though.
People still do that. They distance hunt animals. They'll just they'll just go on. They'll just literally walk them down for 20. They keep
Well,
walking, and eventually, certain animals just they can't
But
go any
like
further.
a monkey can move as fast as a human can walk.
But they can't.
Why would it need to be on two legs just to outpace a buffalo?
Right, we're not outpacing the buffalo. We're just outdistancing.
Well, I mean, like just to follow it then till buffalo gets too tired and collapses. Why does it need to be on two legs?
Because it's more efficient. If you're walking on four legs, you'll never be able to go 20 miles in a day. For instance, like a chimpanzee or gorilla. Sure, they're faster, but they can't go the distance in the long distance like we can. It's more efficient.
I don't buy that personally, like, but.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm not the person to take it from you. I wouldn't buy it.
No, I'm just saying, like, it's.
You shouldn't buy it from me. You should. I'm not giving you enough info to just buy it. I agree, but I'm giving you a very rough description. You shouldn't buy it until you look into that more, and I think you'll find that it's true.
And like, how many times have these monkeys tried distance hunting over millions of years before the decided I'm going to start walking on two legs? Do you know what I mean? It gets a bit fantastical.
Right. Well, there are other advantages to walking on two legs, but again, I'm not.
Well, why aren't all monkeys walking on two legs then?
Because they would have to give up advantages that they have, and so that wouldn't be a beneficial trade, right?
Well,
so it's like that. Go ahead.
That's like it's contradiction, though, isn't it? Like.
Well, think about like a video game. Like you have skill points, and you can only spend so many, right? It's not like, well, why don't we fly? Because flying would be better. Well, you can't. It doesn't work like that, right? So you can't just have it all, right? So so we give up one thing for another generally.
Well,
wow.
Why didn't some monkeys become flying creatures? Why didn't some become swimming creatures? And why are some walking on two legs?
Well, if you go back far enough, they did. That's exactly the whole story of evolution. Monkeys didn't, or chimpanzees, our ancestors, our direct ancestor didn't. But if you go back far enough, that's exactly what happened.
Yeah.
I'm about to quickly. Sorry, I had the super chat on a long time. He says from Roger Letter $2. He says one that works. I think he was asking for proof of evolution. Thank you very much for your super chat. Would you have any? And then before we do that, thank you very much, Matthew de Gragier, for gifting 5 memberships. King Rooster level. Really appreciate it, man. So One Mind, One Spirit, welcome. Awesome Town, welcome. Angela Carson, baby. Dislord, welcome. Professor Phil Bell got one as well. And Miss Mark Beanby.
Again, he's never
Awesome.
here,
Thank
and he
you
gets
very
one all
much.
the time. Phil Bell.
Professor Phil Bell keeps getting a membership.
Yeah,
Every time.
he don't come. You should remove him, and then he's not going to be getting what somebody's paid for. Like,
But thank you very much for the membership gift, and thank you, Roger Ladle, for the super chat. So do you have any answer for that, Chris, for the super chat on just one?
I'm sorry, what did it say?
That works. The super chat he sent, just one evidence for evolution, the one that works, apparently.
I mean, it's I don't want to say it's ridiculous. Of course, there's evidence all around this. I mean, we've been talking about it the whole time. I don't know what else to say to that. So thank you that's what the super chat, but that's
evidence is right there.
One man's evidence is another man's bullshit.
Yeah.
I mean,
amen.
Hey, well, I don't know. Yeah, that's all I have to say. We've been talking about it the whole time. So,
but we're talking. But it's been on for a long time, so I just had to read it out.
I mean, the fact that there are different races of people. There you
go. Okay. So I what I'm getting from this is I think we have a different look on what evolution is. Maybe.
Definitely, I have seen that. Like,
this is why QE says it needs defining, and it's never been defined properly.
Yeah, because I've seen evolution is very. It steps over a lot of lines. You can't really pin it down to a definite kind of definition, you could say. You guys agree with that?
Getting the definition straight. I mean, there are definitions, and I've been trying to explain my understanding of the definitions. I hope it makes sense, because mixing up what natural selection is, what adaptation is, what mutation is. If you don't have your definitions right, of course it's going to sound like bullshit, because if you're misunderstanding what is meant by it, then of course it's going to sound wrong. It would be wrong, right? if it's a misunderstanding, then that needs to be addressed. So yeah, definitely terms and definitions matter. And
Yeah, because when I'm reading the different definitions, they all more or less come down the whole time to adaptation and mutations.
again, yeah, I don't want to keep beating the same drum, but yeah, that's part of
Yeah,
it.
that's practically
Part of
all
it.
I'm reading when I look at all the
Right.
definitions. And to me, I have to tell you that can't be evolution, because evolution makes a specific claim about it needs to create new information, and we don't observe that. So that's why, to me, evolution can't be a thing.
So you disagree that? I mean, we can agree to disagree, but you disagree that we create new buildings and we create new technology that did not exist out of we didn't create new elements. The Earth is here, the elements are here.
But we are intelligent, though.
But we created something that didn't exist from things that did. And
No, but the information was already
what
Are
information?
you talking about the Miller experiment? Because that was crap too.
It's like when you listen to, I don't know if you've heard this joke before, where the scientists are trying to say to God, well, we can create life too, and God says, okay, go ahead and do it. And the scientist tries to pick up sand, and God says, oh, well, that's my sand, you should create your own sand to be able to do that. And the scientist, okay, let me go. And he tries to pick up some water, and God says, no, that's my water, you should try and get your own water to do that. You understand where this is leading off to?
Yeah.
The information is based on what's already been there. Evolution
It's
is
like a Lego kit. You need Legos in order to make the kit work.
the
Exactly.
evolution build
Yeah.
blocks is based on new information that wasn't there before.
So where was the cell phone 100 years ago?
Technology for that wasn't
It's about the
existing.
same place it was now.
Well,
Technology is not a genome structure. Technology is not genetic.
no, but this is
No,
made of
the materials for it was still there 100 years ago.
exactly,
Yeah.
and that's I'm trying to make the same point this whole time about genetic information. It's just taking the materials and creating a structure from them that didn't exist before, which is all a cell phone is, right?
Yeah, but
it's just the
someone took
materials
that-
that pre-existed.
Someone took that, designed it, and made it.
That takes a
Well,
As
what
in-
did the cell
as in-
phone
as
evolve
in-
out of?
as in a cell phone. It takes a human with
I agree. I
with
agree,
knowledge.
Michael. Yeah, I
yeah,
agree.
yeah.
But it is still the point is that's not the point. The point is that it's something that didn't exist before, but it's made from materials. So this is the same. This is the correlation I'm trying to make, that you can take raw materials, which is the makeup. What are they? The materials that make up DNA, and you can create a combination, or you can order them into something that didn't exist before, and that's what new.
No, but the
That's what
information is there. We took all the information and built that cell phone out of the information that was already there. But as I said, this is
If
actually
you
just
want to look at it that way,
because
but
the
the
cell
cell
phone's
phone
not
didn't
genetic.
It's still a novel idea.
But let's just say we got to the protocell, for instance, back to down to the nitty-gritty. This is like the bottom of evolution. Okay, the protocell is before the amoeba even got there. Where did that information come from for the protocell? You obviously can say we don't know. Okay.
Life cannot be
Now-
created from just minerals,
But-
dead things.
Yeah, but now the point is that protocell had to recreate a more complex living cell that had to produce more information that wasn't there.
Sure. So you can combine it. It wasn't there in the protocell, but let's say it combined with something else, right? So
But it's the only cell. There's nothing there. Where does it
but
combine?
organisms have combined with other organisms. That's one way, right?
Yeah, but a protocell, that's the whole thing. A protocell means the first cell. There was nothing more. So the information that the protocell had is the information the protocell had.
Okay, but again, through mutation and recombination, you get something different the next generation. Just like you and me, we did not. Our genetic makeup is unique. It is new information. This
No,
this
I
this
disagree.
this blueprint that produced you did not exist.
I disagree.
The
Me too.
the raw materials did.
the information that we are built upon as they already.
You're a
That's-
blueprint. You're made from
It's
a
like your
blueprint.
ones and zeros. Your ones and zeros. The ones and zeros were already there. We're just the
Agreed.
configuration of those ones and the zeros that are already there.
Exactly. But
So
that's
it's
enough.
not
That's
evolution.
that's enough to produce you and a tree, right? So
Yeah, but
it's all made from the same ones and zeros, right?
so
we are. But you
information
can
is
still get,
already
you still
there.
get variation.
That's
You
the whole
still get
point.
variation. There's a tremendous variation just from ones and zeros. Different, different blueprints made from the same ones.
Now you're
and zeros.
making an assumption that ones and zeros make up what we're made out of. No, I don't know about that.
Wait, I'm sorry. Say it again, Ryan.
I said it sounds like you're making an assumption that ones and zeros is what we're made out of, and that's not true.
No, I'm saying what DNA is made of is.
Yeah, it's just an analogy.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you. Yeah, no, it's just there's four main.
That was my point exactly. That it's just it's a way of understanding, and it's not actually some kind of mathematical equation that proves anything. Get what I'm saying? It's just a way of explaining it so that you can understand their theory of it.
Well,
Yeah.
okay. All right.
But yeah, we definitely have different views on this. That's for sure.
Well, like if I discover, like say I'm the first person to look through a microscope, okay, and see a cell, and it divided and all the little things going on inside of there. How would I explain that to you without showing it to you, right? I'd have to explain it on a level of understanding and cognizance, right? And I'd have to lay it out so that you could understand bit by bit, and you wouldn't have to actually look at it or, be visualized it, but be able to understand what I'm talking about by just my words, right?
Sure.
You get where I'm going with that?
I think so. I mean, yeah. Ideally, you could show me, but you could still explain to me through words. Yeah. But an analogy is part of it. The analogies are useful, right? We all use analogies to explain things.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Right, but there's no proof, no beyond the shadow of a doubt proof that we're made up of what do you call them, atoms. There's no proof of that. It's just a way of describing what we think it is beyond what we can see, because we can't see that far down. So it's simply what that is.
Okay. I don't know. Again, I'm not a molecular biologist, but I think people would disagree. We do have electron microscopes and things like that. So.
Mm-hmm.
Have I ever looked through one? No. But that
How dare you?
Just because I haven't looked through one doesn't mean I don't think that they work.
There's 3 different kinds of them, and they all work on fringe science, so that might explain something to you.
Okay, but that's off topic there.
Yeah.
I know, but that's why I was talking about how we describe things. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know how to explain. I guess I'm failing to explain it in better words. I apologize.
No, we understand what you're saying. You're saying if it's a model that works, doesn't make it reality.
Right, exactly. It's just a way of looking at it so that we're all on the same page and we can all understand how to implicate, or imply things when we say, we're going to change this or that or chemical structure or whatever, an atom or whatever, then we need to understand this on that level, right? Like chemistry. Mm-hmm. Chemistry isn't made from little bits of. It doesn't work quite like that. We're talking about magnetic fields that bond these things together. You can't just do that yourself. It doesn't work exactly like what you think it does. You see what I'm saying? Like the fact that they describe it as there being molecules bonded together and they draw this little picture. That's not really what it is. That's just a way of describing it. You know what I'm saying?
That I 100% do, and I agree with that. But it's you have representations. That's just the way the world works.
Right. But that's what I'm saying is I think that science, because science is like that, and people misunderstand that type of explanation, they start to believe that these little figures that we give them and these little cartoons that we make are actually really what's going on below the surface, and we don't really know that, right? Do you see where my point is? So it's kind of hard to you see what I'm saying? That's where I'm coming from when it comes to scientists, because I got a book right here that's got hundreds of scientists that are saying the exact opposite of what you're telling me, and we're talking about people that were actually considered for, peace prizes and stuff. We're not talking about just any dummy here. We're not talking about just some guy that went to college or whatever. We're talking about a person that has a bachelor's degrees and things. No joking. I've got a whole book full of their comments, and they're telling us that it's all based on beliefs. There is no actual physical evidence of evolution or one cell organisms evolving into something more complicated. It doesn't exist.
But why
I know it
believe
seems
them?
like it
Why
does
believe
because
them?
the way they've spread it with the media, but the media is a completely different monster. You know what I'm saying?
Right, but just because these couple hundred people say it, why believe them? Why
Well, I
believe them
mean,
over anyone?
it's only a couple
believe-
hundred of scientists that are saying that evolution existed in the first place. So why would we believe them either?
No, I don't think that's true. But why believe these people you're referring to? Why believe them? You said this is what they say, and why believe them?
Well, I don't know. Maybe because you're telling me that the reason why you believe in evolution is because you were told these things by scientists and you believe that they're true, right?
No,
So now I'm showing you some scientists that are in that same field and they're doing the same work, and you might actually recognize some of their names, and they're saying that evolution is all based on belief.
No, but
I find it hard to believe that you don't know that.
No,
if you've really done the study.
I don't just take the word for people who have told me about evolution. I've heard what they've had to say. I've seen. We observe natural selection. It's a perfectly logical process. So it's not just like I was told this is how it works. It has to make sense to me. I don't just. So if you believe these people and what they say, I would believe them if I had good reason to. So I was just wondering, what do you believe what they're saying? You believe them because they said it, or is there?
Well, like I said,
else?
I shared the name of the book and everything that you can, so that way you can go and find it on your own. Because if I were to try to explain it to you, I'd have to read half this book probably.
Yeah, fair
but
enough.
I'm sure that you would probably find this book very, 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 very interesting. Because I found a lot of things about science that I didn't know, and then when I went and researched it, sure enough, that evidence was right there. So I haven't found anything in here that was a lie yet, but and it actually has references for what book they got the information out of. So it's not like this is just someone's opinion. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I'm opening all the tabs in private chat, all the links in private chat, so I don't lose any.
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what a person believes or not.
Right. But I think we have to look at all of it. Let's look at it and let's really analyze it before we make a
that's what
decision.
we're doing tonight. That's why we're just chatting about it. And I mean, my base opinion, I don't see any foundation for evolution, and everything we've shown tonight is actually just showing what we do observe, which is just adaptation based on information that's already been there. So,
yeah,
I would, it's great to be skeptical, and you guys are skeptical as a community, and so I think we both have that. We all have that in common. Just to be skeptical equally, right? So just because be skeptical of the things that you tend to agree with and things you don't, right? So just if you agree with these people that evolution is fake, well, be skeptical of that too. Just because that agrees.
Oh yeah, of course.
I'll just take.
No, I feel the same.
Yeah, I mean, you have a right to believe what you want. No one's gonna.
But if you're really after the truth, you have to be skeptical of both sides, even though you kind of want this one
You're
to be
absolutely
true.
right.
You currently believe
that's why I thought carefully before I use some of the evidence that I bring up, that I have, that like some of the evidence in the book I don't agree with. You know what I'm saying? Because of other beliefs and other biases. And I won't get into that, but I'm saying there's stuff in this book that you'll find you'll be like, wow. But if you really think about it, though, the truth is what it is, right? And you won't really understand the truth until you see it. And it usually fits right in the way it's supposed to. You know what I'm saying? Like, we all usually can figure out, like, let's say I gave you a chemical, a mixture, and then I didn't tell you there was some element in there, but I told you all the other elements. But if I left one out, it would make it very difficult for you to figure out what you were actually dealing with unless you were very good at identifying these molecules, right? You know what I'm saying? So you see what I'm saying? It's like, I see how things can easily be misunderstood and read and thought, wow, that means this, right? But when you really analyze it and you look at it from a bigger perspective, you realize that it's really not saying that, but it does seem to be. You know what I'm saying? And there's a lot of that. And I think I've gotten misunderstandings before, and it's ruined a whole conversation for me because I actually got one part wrong, and because I based everything on that belief, it screwed up my whole argument, and I ended up being wrong, and it really upset me. But I learned a lesson in that. You know what I'm saying? And I've gone through this many times, of course, too. But I'm just saying, take a look at the stuff I offered up. You can look at it or you can't. I mean, it's up to you. But I mean, like you said, if we don't investigate each other's information, then
I got an important question there. Do you think the integration with AI would be seen as evolution?
Ooh, that's a good question.
No, I'd call that transcendence rather than.
I mean, we're already
integrated of reality, but that's just my opinion.
We have pacemakers, we have artificial limbs and stuff like that. Is that evolution? Even though, I would say no. Not if they're just evolution. Again, is
that would be more adaptation, wouldn't it? or survival.
There's probably a word for it. I don't think that's the one, but it's not evolution. No.
Yeah,
Evolution is
transhumanism.
generational.
Yeah, transhumanism. I'd say I don't agree with it, but yeah.
I think that's the purpose of AI,
Would
though.
it be counted? Would it be counting as evolution or not? Because we're using the technology that's helping us, become greater to evolve. Quote unquote.
It's evolution adjacent.
Well,
I get it.
Yeah.
It's in the same.
Well, I believe that things change. I believe that moths can change their colors in order to survive. I believe in all that. I don't doubt that at all. But that's a whole different thing than a cat turning into a dog or a monkey becoming a human being. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's where the confusion gets, is that you see all these things that do have great evidence for it, and you see animals changing, and you see animals changing their social behaviors, and you see monkeys on separate islands that don't even know each other, learning how to use tools that they never used before. Even though they didn't learn from the other monkeys, they got it somehow. But we don't understand all of this stuff. But that's completely different. And I think what's happening here with you is you sound like a really smart dude. You sound like, you're really serious about wanting to know the truth. And I'm only picking that up, and it's my opinion, but it sounds to me like maybe you've just gotten some things confused, because I did too when I first started reading into this stuff. But now it's like I look at some of this stuff and I go, wow, how did I not realize that was true about this and that? You know what I'm saying? And it's really interesting when you have someone that's smarter than you explain something, and then you read other people's books too. You read all the different comments of people that are smart and what they think about all this stuff, and you start to realize that it's really, really complicated. Not only that, but there's a lot more to it that makes things not quite absolutely. You can't put your finger on it, really. You could say, yes, this has to be true, and that would have to be true too, because we have intelligence and we have all these other things. But then there's other things that don't match up with that, and we're still trying to figure them out. So I think science, in that sense, is like difficult for you to use as trying to find truth in that sense, because sometimes you're dealing with completely theological ideas that are trying to explain something that we know does happen. We can't explain why, right? You see where I'm coming from? I'm sorry,
yeah, I would agree. But science, it's not perfect, but it is, I think, our best tool for trying to find out what is true. Right? That's what science is. It's
I agree. I just think that sometimes we get confused the difference between someone trying to explain something and their theory of it, and then us, thinking, okay, that must be really how it is. You know what I'm saying?
But definitely on the individual level, as an individual, we can misunderstand things all the time.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just want to say thank you, Roger. Let off your $2 super chat. Says therefore a creator. Exactly. Thank you very much for your super chat. Really appreciate it, Roger. And then Alan Norstrand, been a member for 16 months. Wow. Says Flatzoid rocks. Really appreciate you, man.
Rocks, yeah.
You rock, Alan. Thank you very much.
You do rock, Flatzoid.
Oh, is it time for freebies?
The one thing I would say is that I try not to do is when
next week
when something doesn't make sense. I'm sorry. Go ahead, PJ.
Oh, I'm saying no. Michael says it's time for our freebies. Says might be yours, Michael. I get mine next week.
No, it's not.
Mine's is next week.
Okay. You go ahead, Chris.
Sorry, Chris.
That's all right. Just to add on to what Ryan said about misunderstanding. Yeah, that happens, and so when something doesn't make sense to me, especially like if it's an established, accepted scientific principle, for instance, whether I was in school or whatever, I have to assume that I'm under some misunderstanding, right? Because it's either I'm misunderstanding what the subject matter, or I made some Nobel Prize worthy discovery, and so I don't know. So I feel like sometimes, I don't mean to.
I hear where you're coming from. No, I know exactly what you mean. It's like, yeah, well, if that's really true, then how come you haven't gotten it? Yeah, I know what you're saying. Yeah. I hear you. Yeah, I hear you. I hear what you're going with that.
Yeah, so it's like it's something I must not be getting here. Otherwise, the entire world is wrong. And
either that, or maybe scientists just don't communicate with each other all their theories, and that's why they haven't figured this stuff out. You know what I'm saying? Like maybe that's all it is.
I blame language.
It's imperfect. Yeah.
Yes, I would say that would be a barrier, and so would lots of other things. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. It's just all throughout school and life. It's just like when I don't understand if something doesn't make sense to me, that doesn't mean it's wrong. It just means I don't understand it fully. Well, pretty much every time, that's what it comes down to. Yeah. Something I'm missing here.
Exactly. And usually something will reveal itself eventually, and you go, "Oh, I get it now," right? And then it all makes sense, and all the stuff that you didn't understand suddenly just weaves right into it, and it makes and it's like sometimes when you're dealing with science, it doesn't ever happen right? There's still always those questions in the back, and that's why it's frustrating for me. It's like, well, then how do we figure this out? How do we study it then? And how do we get the right answers out of it every time without being fooled by it or being tricked or misunderstanding or just not understanding how it all fits together and, as a system,
Yeah, I think we're all smart enough to, if we really put our mind to wanting to fully understand anything, like, quantum physics or whatever. Like, if it was explained to us well enough, we're all smart enough to fully grasp it. But that would take a long time. People
right? Yeah. No, I don't think so necessarily. But yeah, maybe I've been lucky that maybe because I understand a lot of other philosophies and understandings that made it easy for me to understand like string theory and things. But I have read a lot about it and I've watched a lot of stuff on YouTube, and I think it's interesting. I think it's fascinating, and I think there might be something to it, but I'm not sure that it means what they're claiming it is. That's my only argument. You know what I'm saying? Like, I need to see more. I'm just more skeptical.
You ever heard there's like a meme phrase about string theory? I'll give you the first half. If you think you understand string theory, but you don't want to do it. If you don't,
but you don't answer. You don't
understand. Right. Yeah, no, I don't know. I just heard that.
Doesn't make any sense, right? Because it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, if you think you understand string theory, you don't understand string theory.
But there's all kinds of fascinating things that do look like they would make sense with other things just based on philosophy ideas. But I just think it's fascinating how somebody can stand in a room and talk about something and speak about it and show you things, and people will believe every word the guy says, even though the guy might not be really telling them the truth, or he may not even know the answers to the question. But because this is what he's telling, is what he's presenting, people are left to either believe it or not. And that makes it frustrating, because it's like, well, that means I can make a mistake and somebody can misunderstand and go off on some rant and, misunderstand something and maybe even hurt themselves trying to mix chemicals or something together, It just makes it's just weird, right? It's just weird. Yep. You'd think that stuff would have been figured out so we don't kill each other or whatever, or blow ourselves up or whatever.
Yeah, it's definitely imperfect transfer of information, knowledge. Yeah. That's what
you're right. It will take years to understand it all, but I think we can get a good idea of what we're doing.
Base understanding in a short time, sure, but mastery of it takes people, their entire.
Yeah, we're gonna end the show anyway. So thanks, Chris, for coming. I appreciate it. I
thank you.
I hope it's what you were trying to get out.
I appreciate the conversation with all you guys. It was fun.
Yeah, good talking to you, dude.
And I bookmarked everything you guys have linked me to, so I appreciate that as well.
Yeah, if you ever want more information, just let us know. We'll be happy to send through what we got. And looking forward to seeing you.
Absolutely, yeah. Thank you for coming.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Looking forward to see what's future on your channel still going on. You got anything new in the pipeline for the next month or so?
I've got three conversations I've had. I got 3 videos I filmed that I'm still working on getting live. So I've got a video coming. Simon ended this a while ago. So I had my wife and my sister-in-law as a guest, and we played scientist or flat earther. So I showed a picture of a scientist or a flat earther that they wouldn't recognize, and it was for fun to see if they can guess, right? And so there's a competition.
Oh, I love that.
And then I played I played flat earther or debunker. So it was, hey, you're gonna have to check it out because you're in there. So I had my wife and sister-in-law. So you get there, it's just a picture of you, and they have to guess flat earther or debunker, right? So all the people I showed a picture on screen, and you get to see the reaction of them.
Oh, I bet they said what a hunky was, right?
Yeah,
I'm kidding.
You'll have to wait and see. But then I had 2 more conversations. I've spoke with Rachie yesterday, and it's going to take me a while. So that was an interesting conversation. Check that out when it comes out. And then actually, early this morning, I had a conversation with Dave McKeegan. So I'm backed up. So I have a lot of editing to do. But that's what's coming.
Yeah, because yours is recorded, and then you still have to edit and stuff. So it takes time.
And I'm so new and bad at it. It takes me forever. But sooner or later, that's what's coming. Thanks, Flatzoid.
Vicky just posted your link in the chat. You guys can go click on his channel and subscribe if you haven't already. Definitely do keep up to date with Chris's channel. It's really great stuff and some awesome information there. So thanks, all I can say is keep up the great work, man.
Thanks, brother.
Although we don't see eye to eye with things, at least we can be respectful, and I do enjoy your content.
Well, we can share info, for sure.
Dude, I think we see eye to eye, and we just focus on the things we don't agree on. But in reality, we agree on way more things than
That's
we
a
don't.
good point. I like the way you said that, brother. That was a nice thing to say.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's probably true. That's probably true.
All right.
Oh, we can agree. You need oxygen to breathe. So.
Yeah. Gas
Or
pressure.
is it oxygen? Maybe it's carbon dioxide we're really breathing.
But
I mean,
yeah,
how would we
thanks,
know?
Chris. But thanks, Chris, for coming. Really appreciate it, man. Many blessings, and yeah, see you again next time.
Yeah, I'll see you. Thanks, guys.
Bless
Take
you,
care.
man. Nice one.
Nice
Right.
talking to
Peace,
you
man.
guys.
Likewise.
Yeah, that was, man.
Cheers. Yeah, I enjoyed that. We
That was all
definitely
good.
don't agree, but what I did gather is he was making up points that it's not evolution, though, because he was fighting for mutation and adaptation as being evolution, which is not evolution.
Right.
But
Which is definitely
that's the
mean.
problem I usually fall into when I chat to someone about evolution. They try and false equivocate mutation and speciation to evolution, which is not
And
actually
that's normal because you don't know enough about it, all of it, right? Because like when I started looking at it, I didn't know what it was all about, and I was like, "What?" Like I didn't know what all this stuff meant.
But yeah, because there's no information, there's no proof for evolution. There hasn't been, there never will be.
The first time I heard it at school, I laughed, and I'm still laughing mad. You know what I mean? I think it's absolutely.
I got sent to the principal's office.
It's the most ridiculous thing to think.
It goes
It's
against
real.
the grain. It goes against the grain completely. You know what I mean?
Damn.
I always thought about because I've never had a problem believing in God. I've just
Think
never
about it.
always followed
Darwin.
It butts heads, doesn't it?
Yeah, but think about it. Darwin just got pushed in all the curriculums and all the everywhere in the museums and stuff, even though there were no actual evidences for anything he postulated. You understand? So
He
they just
admitted that in
tried
his own book.
they tried their best to create links where there were no links, and it's still like that today. And unfortunately, they still teach evolution, Darwinism as fact when there's no foundation for anything they're teaching. It's the same as the
They
globe.
created a religion. Yep.
But that's why I went to my poll. Let's go check what the poll says. 105 votes. Evolution was created to run from God. Yes, 48%, no, 34%, and could be 18%. What do you guys think of the poll?
Yeah.
I think it shows that something wrong, but
Yeah. So
I think most scientists would even agree that we really don't know everything, and that we're really still trying to answer most of the questions because we can't. It's such a God is a very intelligent person, or what he's a being, entity. He's very, very intelligent, and he created all the building blocks in our lives in a matter of days. Think about that with his words only. That's just a fascinating thing. You got to remember that as well.
He's complete intelligence, isn't he? Because his intelligence we couldn't fathom at all.
Right, because our intelligence was structured just off of his thoughts. And words. It's so fascinating when you think about it. Yeah.
Guys, please hit the likes because we're on 33 likes now. Get us away from the Mason number.
And I've got
what's wrong with that number?
Do you know after last night's stream, I've got 33 videos.
You're a Mason. How dare you, PJ?
Okay,
Well,
guys,
just because they got rid of the 13th floor doesn't mean it isn't still there, people.
I just have to let you guys know.
Next Tuesday's part 2 anyway, so it'll be 34 there.
Just let you guys know tomorrow night I won't be having a show because I'm going to my daughter's. They're having they got like a movie evening on the field or something. So we're all going to go visit there. But so I'm not having a show tomorrow night, but I will be having a show Friday evening, and then Saturday I have a debate against Ozian on biblical cosmology. So looking forward to that. And then tomorrow night I won't be on. So I heard Ryan's going to do a show tomorrow. He says he's going to dance on the table to us.
Nice, right?
Got
to do it live.
Yeah.
Do it live.
He's got a new poll.
I'm doing it with you guys.
He's got a new
God,
poll.
I'm busy tomorrow night and all.
Yeah.
You're going to take some time off, huh?
No, I'm not doing tomorrow night. Next Tuesday is my next one.
Maybe I'll just have a premiere tomorrow. We'll see.
Mm.
But that means I have
Oh
to
boy,
work.
I love those.
That means I have to work now, and I'm not in the mood to work. I'm gonna go sleep. So no, sorry, no
There's
premiere
no
tomorrow.
point in a show tomorrow anyway. Everybody's busy, so nobody will turn up to chat. So there's no point in having a show. Anyway. You know what I mean? So.
But yeah, I appreciate everybody, mate. Aziz says, what days do you stream? I stream every night except the Tuesday, Aziz. So I'm practically every single night. Yeah, it's good to see you.
Mm.
It's good to have a new face in as well.
Oh
so.
yeah, Dylan
So
Herring.
PJ plans on filling in the hole.
Yeah, Dylan Herring. It's good to see you. He was in our chat last night. Yeah.
Oh yeah, Dylan, good to see you, man.
So, yeah, nice to see you, man.
I'm actually looking
What's up,
forward
dude?
to the debate on biblical cosmology with Ocean because it's something different as well. Because I like doing the biblical aspect of it, and he's very confident that he's going to wipe the floor with me on biblical cosmology.
Well, of course he is.
He might
He
mock
can.
fun.
You need a. I'm sorry.
He's,
Go ahead.
he's got a superior intellect to you, Vlad. Do you know that? Or
That's funny.
Okay.
I don't know about that. I don't. Is there a way to really test people's knowledge? I mean, wisdom. IQ is only test your quotient of intelligence, right? It doesn't test everything else.
He should be called Dozy on.
There should be like categories. There should be like knowledge of general information. There should be like understanding and being able to use the stuff together, right? There should be like a whole bunch of stuff involved in that, not just the intelligence part.
Oh yeah, and I was thinking.
IQ's got nothing to do with being smart, really. It's just.
No, it's
I know it doesn't, but it does prove like that you think differently, but it doesn't necessarily mean you think better. You know what I mean?
It's got to do with patterns.
Pattern recognition.
Are you able to recognize patterns?
Yeah.
Thinking
Yeah,
now, I still want to
good.
create that website. Remember, guys, I was talking a while back. I want to create a website. I still want to do that. Maybe I think Jeff said he would help me at a stage, so that'll be great. And then I was.
I doubt you, but I don't know how to create a website.
Wait a minute. That would mean that they recruit you for that so that you come up with more numerology.
No. I know how to create a website. I just don't have time. So I say when I can, I'll get there. But I know Jeff said he also wants to help on that, so it'll be great. So if anybody has information that they want to put on the website, because I want to put a testimonial link as well on there, and anybody's like observations that they've done on why they think the Earth is flat and stuff, it would be great to put on the site.
Cool.
So if you have any of that information, please email me on flatsoid@gmail.com, and I'll be happy to put it on the site.
Cool.
And then the
you
book,
might.
and I'm still working on the
Yeah, I
book,
will.
guys, just to let you know. It's just very slow. It's every time I want to start, I end up doing something else. But the book is still in the pipeline, even if it takes me 10 years.
Dude, it'll be worth
Do you
it.
have Drive? Do you have a Drive account, Keith? By chance?
Yes, a Google Drive account, I do, yeah.
Good, because I'll send you a file that has a whole bunch of stuff in it, and you'll have to just kind of dig in there and pick it all apart. But
Awesome. Okay, so any closing statements, guys? I think tonight was nice little change on topic.
Yeah, it was chill. Like I say,
I liked our guest. I liked him a lot.
Yeah,
I like Chris.
Yeah, he's
Sound.
good. Definitely, he's sound. He's not. He doesn't troll or anything like that. He has the decent conversation.
Have you heard me say that about a guest that we've had on here yet?
Yeah, he's civil. He's civil guy. So nice to talk to him. But evolution, like I said at the start, is always easy to debunk, isn't it? You can't call it scientific. You can't observe it. It's not scientific. It takes more faith to believe in evolution than it does to believe in creator. That's it.
Thanks for your approval with this, Lord.
So we take it, Michael, you don't think evolution's real?
No. Only a fool would believe it.
I wonder what that Cookie Monster guy thinks about it.
Because if you saw what happened at the end of the argument, everything he was making at the bottom of the cup, God was always there as the creator.
Yep. That's it.
Yep. And Ryan?
Yep.
Closing statement.
I don't know. I enjoyed it. I did, even though I got a little frustrated at first. I kind of just backed off, but I think it worked out. I managed to be peaceable. I think.
Nice.
Nice,
That
nice,
was a joke. You're supposed to laugh. Gee whiz.
nice.
You're funny.
Slap my legs.
But yeah,
I'll try better jokes next time. Sorry.
But thanks all for coming, guys.
Oh,
I really
ja.
appreciate all the super chats. Appreciate the new members, everything. I appreciate all the Patreon supporters as well. I don't say enough thank you for you guys. You guys rock. Appreciate everybody that does support this channel financially and those that hit the likes and share the show. You guys really do help the show to grow. And I just want to say thank you very much appreciated. And I really pray blessings over you guys. So I'll see you guys all then Friday evening for another special show. Until that time.